I feel like that song cuts off so abruptly.
Yes.
I just wanted to keep going.
I was getting into it, and then we were here.
We need at least a gradual let go just so I can like emotionally prepare for the cutoff. But I'm so glad you guys could join us tonight. And honestly, Reggie, I am so pumped for this episode. I've been waiting for this one. There are certain people within the detailing industry that have just an element of notoriety, of respect, of just honestly, you have a good reputation. And so I have
Good.
been excited to pick your brain, to talk
If my
detailing
God
with
thinks
you.
the same, then I'm going in the right direction.
So what time is it where you're at? Let's start
We are
there.
now live in my hometown. Right? I don't even know how to pronounce it in English, but in my language, it's called Rekken. I'm in Rekken now. It's 2:05 a.m. in the morning. This is the first time recording a podcast live with anybody from another northern continent in my grandmother's house because basically I'm homeless, but I'm living with my grandmother.
What do
So
you
I
call
told
your
her,
grandma?
Oma,
Oma.
Oma.
Well, is Oma sleeping? Is she still
Oma
alive?
is sleeping. Oma is fully aware that there's going to be sounds coming from the ground floor of somebody speaking because she says, "But what is it for?" I said, "It's probably about detailing." But why in the middle of the night? It's
These
well, yeah,
insane people.
yes, So she just got informed, and now she's sound asleep. Hopefully, see her tomorrow morning.
Well, if your Oma gets woken, please tell her I'm so sorry and thank you for sharing
You will
you with
you will
us.
see, you will see her head pop up right over here. This region right over there,
She's
probably
your
in
Sasquatch sighting, like my husband.
it's like very small, very small.
Oh, oh, that's awesome. Well, tonight I'm excited because we're going to be talking everything Labocosmetica. We're going to be talking, and not necessarily all Labocosmetica. We're going to talking detailing in general because I feel like we are going to have a ton of questions. We already have a lot of people in the chat. So if you guys have any sort of questions for Reggie, detailing related, Labocosmetica related, Mafra related, was it Maniac line? Is that even another one in there? I feel like
Maniac,
there's,
Mafra,
what's
it's a
that?
lot. Maniac, Mafra, LABO, it's a lot.
We're going to hit it all in a very short amount of time. We're going to try to keep this to about an hour so that way you can go back to sleep because we got to get this man his beauty sleep. So if you guys have questions, make sure you are putting them in the comment section and we'll try to get to them at the end of the show. But first off, Reggie, could you do me a favor and just briefly introduce us to Labocosmetica? Is that a uh, umbrella company or is that under Mafra? Is Mafra like the big company and then you've got these smaller detailing brands underneath of it?
Yeah, it used to be like that, but both Maniac line and Mafra, Maniac and Labocosmetica are now self-supported. So they have their own, everything is now owned. So it used to be indeed like an umbrella.
Okay.
They also needed to be carried by a Maniac. Yes, from the beginning, you need to invest, and then Mafra will carry everything. And then slowly but surely, it will separate itself to being a separate brand, as now also Maniac is moving to a singular position.
Okay.
And maybe even later this year, we will find out that something else or someone else or something will come, something new, most likely.
Is that a hint of what's to come or
I'm never ever going to say anything ever again about products, releases, dates, anything, because once you tickle that hype and it starts to, and you get this volcano eruption, it could be like a hurricane, like a very, very aggressive, very short, and then it's gone,
Well, I mean, you are pretty tired, so who knows what might come out of your mouth at
That
2
is
a.m.
very
in the
true. I am
morning.
now completely anything I say cannot be held up against me in a court of law.
There's a disclaimer just across the entire episode. So Labocosmetica, I feel like they are the bigger of the brands. They're getting definitely a ton of just recognition here in the U.S. Can you briefly introduce me to why they decided to start that line? How they thought that they could bring something different to the detailing industry with Labocosmetica?
Yeah, sure. Short version, you have the company Mafras existing since 1965. The founder started this company back then in his house. The bathroom was being used to mix the chemicals, the bathtub, and from that, the first detergents were made, and slowly but surely it expanded into car wash, what it expanded into industrial, into hotel, horeca, all these things. And then about 8 years ago, because it's becoming really difficult, if you tell this story every year once, every year you have to change the years. So I'm going to guess that Labocosmetica is now 7 years old or 8 years old, because we
Okay.
just celebrated it. I forgot it already, but let us say 8 years old. And the idea for Labocosmetica was to use everything that we have in that car wash sector, technology, detergents, and all those technology that we had, to create a singular line of products with solutions in detailers' problems that did not exist back then. So introducing alkaline back to alkaline, what it used to be, introducing acids again into the detailing industry, something that used to be feared, and then trying to make stuff that nobody has made before or approve in such a way by using the weaknesses of others and turning them into strengths. And that is something, of course, that's a lot of fun to do. If you find out, okay, you have one product can do this, the other product can do this, and what if we can combine two of these things together and to make a singular product that can do both? Something like this.
I know a lot of companies discourage people being little chemists and experimenting. So you guys are doing the experiments for us, basically.
Yes, I can tell you that sometimes for me, when I see product testing and they do call it then stress testing, well, the stress test, it's cute. You know, it's like, it's cute. It's looking great. Yeah, the stress testing, but I can tell you the stress testing we do is a little bit more into the caustic era, so to speak, to melt the aluminum off your paint if you have it. Because, yeah, slowly but surely with the expanding to all other countries in the world, you get so many different cultures of washing your car, and all of them have invented this way, and all of them will defend it in that way. So in every country you will have somebody that's trying to ice skate uphill. He's not want to move, he doesn't want to budge, he doesn't want to grow, doesn't want to evolve. And those people are the most beautiful to convince to see that you can use products in your strength instead of your weakness.
So when it comes to products from Labocosmetica, what would you say are your big hitters? And maybe we can like do the first portion, big hitters, and then the second portion, like the secrets, like weapons that most people don't know about or don't utilize.
But 3pH now, of course, is becoming more and more and more and more and more known. So for me, Primus Purifica, definitely the alkaline pre-wash and the alkaline and the acid shampoo, both those two definitely. Then for the interior, 2pH, Dactyl Glyco, acid and alkaline. Those are really the big ones. Also for me, you know, those are the ones that draw me into the company. Is the reason, one of the main reasons I work for this company is just to be able to be in this project making these products. Somewhat not in the beginning. I'm mostly, I would say most of the time I jump into the middle. When there's something physically there that is already starting to turn into a product, then I join the project, because sometimes in the beginning, I could cry right now. I could cry because we made something, but it's so incredibly good that I know we are never going to produce it, and that we are never going to make it. And we are probably not even going to release it because it doesn't fit the current market demand of everything needing to be easy. And that is very, very difficult, because making stuff easy is not very difficult. It's making it good, a good product that is easy to apply. Making it that's what makes it difficult. Making a product easy is not, if it's a bad product, sure, making it easy. But this is one of the things that we are struggling with when we are now working with the new type of cultures, the new type of demands of needs to be fast, easy, simple, and cheap. This culture's really living right now, and that doesn't suit me at all, because I like difficult, I like beautiful, I like fantastic. Definitely difficult. When the more difficult something becomes, the more I think something is really going on here. You know, there's something happening here.
Do you like expensive if we're going that track, or do you still like cheap?
If it's quality, I do not care how much I pay. Really don't. It's the same with food. If I go to a restaurant and I have to pay $99 for a steak, but if the steak is really good, I am willing to pay $99. But so if somebody asks me to pay $99 for a steak, you can already realize that I have high expectations. If something is really expensive before I try it and I have to buy it.
For a $99 steak, you better be cutting that up for me and feeding it to me on a golden fork.
Yeah,
But
very nice. The one the one at MTE with the Gaylord Palms inside was okay, but I was literally looking at the price and was like, no, for that price you are not okay. If you were half that price, I would say you were okay, but now because of the price, you are not okay.
So Steve has a good question. You're talking about product development. How long does the product development cycle typically take from initiation to public release?
That's an excellent question, and I'm very happy that he's asking this. Thank you, Steve. This is for us. We have one strength and one weakness at the same time, and that's the boss. And he's the one most of the time gets the idea for a product. If it doesn't exist, or if it's not existent at that time, it starts as an idea, and then before it turns into something that the chemist. So you have to imagine you have this Italian guy. You are at work in your lab, and then there's this guy. And he literally drops into your lab like Kramer from Seinfeld. He just slams the door open and says, "What's up, everybody?" So he comes inside. He's fully loaded with passion, love, and he has this idea for a product. So he starts explaining in his way because he's like an inventor. So he does this in a particular way, and then he starts explaining this to the chemist. So the chemist is looking at him like this. So he's getting shot at with information. He's trying to accumulate the information from this passionate Italian guy that just came from lunch, had an idea, and he's okay. And he starts mixing some chemicals, and then we have something. And it's absolutely, you can only call it something. There's something that came from the head of a guy that turned into the chemist mixing some stuff, and now we have something. Then we are going to try something. When something is turning into something else, we go further on. And then you have version number 1.
Now, and that's when Reggy maybe jumps in.
We are still I would say some of the products I start in the beginning because I'm already there. But some of the times I already, because in a creative process, it's going on all the time. Or it's not going on, or it's going on all the time. So it could be going on in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. And it's moving really fast. It's what we call really dynamic. But when the version 1 is there, we're going to see if the product is working. Is it doing what we want it to do? And from that point, we will find out other things. So if the formulation is stable. So I'll give you an example. We had a ceramic coating we were developing, and we had it for a week. And after a week, I opened the bottle, and the bottle made like opening up a soda bottle. Like you hear gas
pressure.
Escape. Yes. That is not a good thing. I can tell you, I'm not a chemist. I don't know these things, but that is not a good thing if that happens. A hissing sound coming from a solvent-containing bottle with a very flammable liquid.
Yeah.
So from that,
if you had gloves on.
Yeah, of course, gloves and everything. So from those points, you already get improvements. So stability improvements. We're not even in the scent range yet. We're still in the product working range. So then slowly we move to a product that is ending in the cycle that we wanted to have. And then we get to what we call a beta version. And that beta version, most of the time, gets distributed all to our dealers, or the most dealers that have these specific situations that we want to test, like Northern Scandinavia, Sweden. Chris does fantastic testing for us. Very critical tester is what we need. We don't need it to know that it's working. We need to know what's wrong with it. We need to know in which situation is it going to turn into a wrong, and what is the solution. That might turn out into the. That's often what you see if they find out. Okay, there is no situation where we can make this product safe. We know that if we do not let it dry, nothing will ever happen. So we will write on the bottle, you can use this anytime, anywhere, but do not let dry. For example, So from this beginning to having something into a beta version, you could be between 6 months and 18 months.
That's a big variable.
And from that, we are from the beta version to an actual production version, and you go into the scents, and then from the scents you go into second testing. Sometimes a scent has a very, very strong influence into the performance of a product. That's why for me this slickness and gloss and smell culture is really difficult, because you are in a subjective range trying to convince many people to like your smell, but it's really a personal thing. The same as the slickness. If you are a woman, you have more sensitive things to a silky touch than a man. A man will find something more silky very fast, because the guy doesn't experience very silky things in his life. So it's from a personal experience point of view. So we are now working on many different products at the same time. There's minimum 7 projects running, and the running could be meaning that they could be underway for years. There's a metal polish project going on for, I believe, 8 years. It's on pause. We are on pause.
What are you testing on the metal?
So
Like a metal coating?
this is difficult. This is difficult. Which I don't want to go into a certain direction, but to do something really on metal, to really polish metal, to really have the opportunity to change the finish of the metal through polishing, not through concealing it to make it look better, but it's real. And we're working on the Rolls-Royce Flying Spur Phantom something. I forgot the name. We had this car, and it had the real chrome grill, the real one, made from steel, with chrome on it, not the plastic with the chrome. No, steel, chrome, man. We wanted to have a metal polish that can polish that off. So I still have the can. It's completely dried out. You only see some powder. It's very old, but it was just a project that we started, and now it's on pause until we find something, certain ingredient that can make that thing that we want. The same that we made what you could call an acid APC. So purification shampoo, decontaminant shampoo, bucket shampoo, pre-spray, foam, anything from the detergent side, but it's not really an APC. An APC is an all-purpose cleaner, but what can you clean with an all-purpose cleaner that is acidic? So, for example, take a location where and grease and lime scale exist at the same time. Can you think of a location in the car where mineral-based substances and greasy substances are together with each other in a very close space to each other?
Wheels,
very good. Very good. We have the door hinges in between. You have the grease on the hinge, and then the lime scale in between. Either way, if you clean that alkaline, you will get the grease off, but you don't get the lime scale off. So you have to do it twice or double. It's going to be difficult because the grease, you use it with an acid, and it's very fun to do because then you find out that you need alkaline to get rid of grease when you use an acid on grease, because it doesn't do FA. It doesn't do anything. It's like moving it around. It becomes a very messy business. So we found something that can do both of those things at the same time. So it cannot be an alkaline APC or an alkaline acid. It doesn't exist in both. It's either or. But you can play around with detergents a little bit, apparently. And
you just have to be careful that you don't damage. Like someone mentioned here, engine bay, as another surface, but belts and things like that, you probably have to be careful of putting certain detergents or chemicals on belts and lubrication and things like that. You don't want to eat through certain metals that they might have or finishes that they might have, because some engines have like a fake finish on top of their gaskets and things like that. So you have to, but I see what you're saying. It sounds like a hyperbole, an acid and an APC, it sounds like oil and vinegar, but I'm intrigued to see how you guys can do that. The only product I know similar to that, like IGL has their Gen KO. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. They took their, like a quick detailer, their enhancer, and then they took their IGL delete and they combined it. So it's a quick detailer that has like an acid, so it can handle door jams and things like that, but it also removes the water spots. But it's not necessarily an APC. It's more of a detailer with a water spot remover within it. But I like the idea of that. I think there's a lot of uses for it.
That's absolutely true. And this was actually a project that was running very successfully until we finalized the project. We had the products. Now it was the time to test it for the VDA to make sure that we get the certificate, because we wanted that green sticker. We sent it over there. They have a database with all these different substrates from the automotive industry, and they literally try these chemicals on these substrates to see what happens. And then you will get feedback. If you succeed, you get the label, you get the sticker. Well job, well done. If you don't, you pay the money, but you lose the certificate. They just tell you, this is the substrate you failed on, and it was, in this case, a certain specific type of plastic on a specific type of BMW motorcycle. I have no idea, but it was like a 99 out of 100% was good, but it was not good enough to get the certificate. So then we said no. So that project is also on pause until we find the raw material that can get us that result without taking compromises, because we've started this. Yes, alkaline, but safe, and yes, acid, but safe, but we cannot deviate from this. We can never I don't believe we can ever introduce a product that is caustic, or the product that has caustic damaging capabilities so that you can damage something on your car. Right now, you have perfect safety. There's nothing that can happen. But if we ever move into that direction, we are moving away from our philosophy. We have been telling, we want you to use alkaline, and we can tell you how to use alkaline safely without the negativity, the alkaline streaks, the burns, the fading, the whitening, the drying out, the absolute nightmare, because I've also seen the nightmares. I've also used detergents that have those capabilities. They have landed on my skin. I've almost inhaled them. So there are some stuff that, that you could think about by the use of chemicals.
So you mentioned a while back, one of your more popular products or systems is the 3pH system. And I know a lot of people have questions about them. Um, this is technology that I feel like the US has been a little bit behind on. And we're just now starting to understand how to benefit from these systems because typically, and I mean, I'll just pop this up. Someone made a comment. If you ask Ivan, he'll say multi pH washes are gimmick. And a lot of people have kind of uh, demonstrated, if we're doing 4 foam cannons and things like that, yes, it's enjoyable, but is it excessive? And what I want to know from you is how do you use the 3pH system? Do you have to use it all three every time? And what scenarios do you need those products? And how do you use it improperly?
All
Like
right, I
what are
wish
people
everybody.
doing to do it improperly to get the most out of it?
So let's cut to the chase and let's make this as short as possible because I know how I can digress too much. 3pH main goal: maintenance of ceramic coating or nano protection. That's the main goal. Preparation of polishing, I'll fine. Not the main goal. It is the 3pH is to maintain, to clean, to purify your ceramic protection or your nano protection. Primus Purifica Sempa. We used to say 1, 2, 3 all the time because we were introducing something, but we are now a couple of years underway. We
Okay.
can now tell the people that there is a possibility to shorten this route, to dilute less or dilute more in this case, or enhance the frequency. Because especially when it's funny because people in the chat or not in the chat but in Facebook then literally say, how many times do I need to do 3pH? 5 times, 6 times. One guy says once a year. Then you do not understand what the 3pH is for. The first one, alkalines, to take off what we now know, organic stuff that has been sticking to the surface, coming from a living substance or used to live. Just like any other pre-wash, but then you have a detergent that's strong enough to take off the dirt, but not strong enough to destroy the ceramic coating or to make it fade, to whatever, to chemically hurt it. Then you have a second thing, and that is what we introduced with 2.0, is that Primus 2.0 can be used as a bucket wash, can be used, does not need to be used, can be used as a bucket wash alkaline to get rid of the traffic film, because that's something that we started introducing with the release of Primus 2.0, and now I'm happy to see that everybody's using a tissue after the pre-wash. After the pre-wash, touchless cleaning is now a thing in the United States. Touchless cleaning has not existed since 1959, when a guy found out that we always have to touch the surface with something to get the last static dirt off. There is no chemical in the world that can do it all. Some dirt or contamination sticks to the surface, not because of chemistry, but because of static electricity. I don't know what else. All I know is that I've seen the strongest cleaners in the world, and not everything is removed. Touchless cleaning does not exist unless the car is so lightly soiled or so lightly contaminated or so well protected or so fresh that it will fall off. In that case, after the pre-wash with Primus and the contact wash with anything, because that is now what we are doing, contact wash before Purifica.
Before Purifica.
Yes, because if you still have traffic film and you throw Purifica on the car and there's traffic film there, it is going to intermingle with the traffic film as well. So you have a chemical working with the traffic film very nicely, but we need to work with the minerals on the surface. And those minerals are not visible. You cannot see them, you cannot feel them. You can see them when you touch them with water, when you see the water not going in one straight line, but wiggling its way over the surface, or this slowly retracting sheeting. That's the first physical or visual sign that your ceramic coating is starting to fail because it's not the perfect beads anymore. There could be many reasons why this is. So again, pre-wash with Primus, contact wash to check if the traffic film is done. Then you use Purifica. And you are going to use, yes, please.
What if you use Primus 2.0, rinse, and then do your contact wash with Purifica? Because I saw that you guys added more surfactants, that it's safer to do. So Do you like? Do you always have to have something between Purifica, like before you can do a contact wash, or can you do a contact wash with Purifica and that be it?
I would say you do a contact wash if you have. So say we do the pre-wash, we rinse off, we do a small tissue check on the places where you know it's going to be dirty. Side of the car, right behind the wheels. There's going to be traffic film there. Small tissue, check the darkness of the tissue. A lot of traffic film. You are going to use something, an alkaline bucket wash, Primus 1 to 100. Light traffic film, you can use a neutral soap. You don't
Semper.
even have to use, you can use any soap in the world just to wash off that contact wash very delicately. After that rinse, you are going to check for the hydrophobics. If the Primus is rinsed off or the Semper is rinsed off after the contact wash, you will see hydrophobics before improving or not at all.
Mm-hmm.
They will improve if it's a fresh coating. Most of the time, after the contact wash, you're done.
Unless it's springtime and heavy pollen season.
Exactly. Could be possible. So we have then it comes to Purifica, but you are going to assess this situation and look at the situation. What is going on? If I very slowly, slightly sheeting, then you can do a bucket wash, 1 to 200, 1 to 100 with Purifica, wash it off, make 2 cycles. It's also possible. If you make a product that is extremely safe, there is a limitations of what it can do. So yes, it has strong capabilities of removing mineral deposits from your ceramic coating, but do not think that you are in a range that 1 to 100 in the bucket is going to transform into miracles. I'm trying to teach the people to start acting when it's necessary. If you are already in dead sheeting and you want to revive something, there's no bucket version of Purifica that's going to help you. You need a pre-spray of 1 to 10 on the surface, dwell that, cover it with some foam if you want, or whatever, or keep it wet or keep it dwelling. Then wash it off. And then you have time, mechanics, dilution, temperature all together, and then you are extending the capabilities of the product. But if you see any video of mine, I will never say more than 1 to 10 in foam in the bucket, in the foam gun. Never more. They say 1 to 5 winter. No, now 1 to 10 is enough. You can change anything in that pre-spray. Any pre-spray from 1 to 20 to 1 to 80 is going to be more concentrated than foam gun 1 to 5. Definitely. Even now with the PIR, the point impact ratio being introduced and everything, people are starting to realize, okay, what is actually landing on the surface? In a foam gun, it's minimum times 10. So if it's 1 to 10 inside, it's minimum times 10 exponentially what's running out of the hose. So it's minimally going to be 1 to 100 coming from the nozzle. So pre-sprays, small dispensers, nebulizers, little hand foamers, those ones, you can up the concentrations a lot by more effectiveness, but a lot less cost, because 1 to 100 in 32 ounces is not very much. But if you dilute that into foam cutting and you have the water and the rinsing and everything, work. Point by my effectiveness, a pre-spray is going to help you a lot more.
Well, and it's like what you were saying. We were chatting earlier this week, and you were talking about the sins theory.
Yeah, Sinner Circle.
So Center Circle. So that's kind of like when you have higher concentration or a stronger chemical, you don't necessarily have to have as long of a dwell time. Or when you have agitation or temperature, when you change all those variables, it's going to affect how you're using them. So if you have a higher concentration, shorter dwell time, obviously that's going to work. But just different things like that. It's definitely been intriguing me, the 3pH system. I did a video recently because I don't know if you saw it on my YouTube channel. I have 35 ceramic coatings on my Subaru Outback. It's an insane amount. And I used your 3pH system to wash it. I think I did it a little bit backwards because I sprayed it with Primus 2.0, rinsed it off, and then I foamed it with Purifica. I washed it with Purifica. Noticed that some of the coatings, they didn't like it. I don't know if the combination of the alkaline or the acid, not all coatings are as chemically resistant. And some of them, they're like 10 months in on maybe a 12-month, 2-year coating. So maybe the coating was just struggling, period. But then I washed it with Semper afterwards, just in case I needed to get some of that residue off from Purifica.
Yeah.
And then rinse it. And I noticed that it didn't improve some of the hydrophobics because there was a little bit of residue that we were dealing with. And maybe that's what you were speaking to about the traffic film, that it wasn't really fully removing it with Purifica. So yeah, I'm interested. I'm intrigued to find, that there's a best method to use this, because I was under the assumption that with Purifica, I didn't necessarily need to make it a 3 pH. We could
No,
just have it a
you're
2
right.
pH.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Semper becomes almost obsolete if you finish with you can finish with the Primus, see the beading coming back. You only need one. Add some Purifica, you need two. After Purifica, you can see, okay, everything's come back, or you want to double up, and because Semper, the amount of consumption, one cap for one bucket, okay, we can always do a Semper. That is not going to change the cost effectiveness. And if you want to do it, it's perfectly fine. But 1 and 2, those are the ones that are going to decide for you if the coating is going to come back, if it's still alive. I have seen many different ways to do this, and I've seen many success stories. I've also seen the fails, people waiting too long.
Yeah.
It's a VDA safe product. You can move even one scale up and go to the Energo range, but there are already a lot of coatings. No coating can destroy. Purifica cannot destroy any coating. I definitely know that for sure. Primus is also not able to destroy any coating, not diminish them, because they're simply not strong enough in their corrosive and caustic powers. And that's the reason what I told you. When I do a stress test, I use something that melts aluminum because there has to be zero lubrication in there. If there's lubrication in there, I cannot use it for a stress test because I'm lubricating the surface. I need something that is non-lubricating, strong detergent, caustic, and then use a wool wash mitt to scrub the surface and then see what happens during these washing cycles. You will not believe what I got here.
I'd love to see you and Jimbo Balaam get together to do a coating stress test. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I swear, when I do coating stress tests, and it needs to be, because I have to think of all the things that can happen and can go wrong, and anything that can influence something that we are going to say after 1 year, holy shit, we forgot. That is a no-no. That is Houston, we have got a problem kind of a situation. That just means you did your homework very well. You have to be ahead of what's happening. That's why when we release something, we are so far into 1 to 2 years. We already have so much feedback from all over the place, from the people we asked to try these products, from the detailers. I have a very small clique of people that I send some products to because they need to be brutally honest. I don't need to be sugar-coated anything. I need to be hammer down, chop, this is bad, it sucks, everything. And it's not about smell and gloss and slickness. We are talking about facts, really things that if I do a test, I have a result, I have to give this test to you, and I have to tell you as much variables of this test that I have done so that you can closely follow these variables as well. And if we achieve the same result, we are getting somewhere. But if I give you a certain specifications for the test, my car's clean, your car's on fire, there's a difference in the test. We have to, work on this. And this is very important, especially with testing. The personal feelings. I always say you have the dividing industry into 100%. 70% is personal opinion. I think, I believe. And then you have the emotions. I feel this product, and then you have 1% of science. So that personal opinion is worldwide. Everybody, everywhere I go, 70% is personal opinion. I saw, I think, I believe. But those things are very difficult to translate back to the chemist. So if the guy says that he was feeling something like less slick, for example, it was feeling less slick, and I say that to the chemist, what he's going to do to me? He's going to punch me in the face. And he says, how am I going to put these emotions in the bottle, Reggie? What was he feeling? Exhaustion, excitement, happiness, sadness? What's going on?
I have a question here from Detail Oriented. He's asked twice now. He says, could you please ask Reggie when Duo Clean Pad is coming to Thor?
That is we may do we have it on? I have no idea what the situation on stock is in the United States, but
Jamie says, haven't ordered it, Bobby.
Oh, then you are still, then you still have to shop outside of the House of Rags to get that Duo scrub pad, because that Duo scrub pad is typically one of those things that Labocosmetica makes that is literally killing our chemicals. I mean, you make a scrub pad that makes the scrubbing and cleaning so much better that you need less chemicals. Going back to center circle, you have a mechanical action going over the surface. No more need for 1 to 10, 1 to 5, just a little bit of chemistry. Plus, I'm a typical Dutch guy, but I use one for the entire interior. I just rinse it out in between. First for Ductile, Glico, and Derma. I use the same scrub pad for the same 3 chemicals. Only difference is in between. I clean it and I start working again with it.
So let's talk Ductile. Let's talk your 2 pH interior system. So I've been working with it the last couple of weeks. Love the scent. I'm struggling with getting it to give me that deep clean results though. So what is it that I could do differently to get better clean results? Because for me, I see what you're saying about how Glico makes the fabric fluffy.
Mhm.
Absolutely love that. Because there are times like I'll use some, shampoos or things like that, and they just leave the carpets kind of crunchy. You feel like you have to kind of break the tops off of it
Yeah,
to
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
make it fluffy.
Uh,
Glico, definitely, I don't have to do that. But I'm just struggling with getting the detergency or the cleaning capability out of it that I'm used to from I use more like commercial grade carpet cleaners.
yeah.
So what could I do differently to get better results? And I think a couple
Let me see.
people were saying similar things.
Let me see. Let's first your face. Let's say you started vacuum cleaning, and that's your first thing, right?
Yep.
First thing.
Agitation and vacuuming, getting up as much loose oiling as possible.
Very good. So we introduced this special brush with the alloy in between. So it's like this dust brush. There's like a lifting device to lift the dust from the seat, because
Okay.
there is dust trapped in the seat and into the carpet. It's supposed to be trapped, because if it was not trapping, every time we would sit down in the car, 4 people sit down, you get a dust explosion, you cannot see inside. So the fabric is actually also to help lock it in, and then later on be released through another method other than sitting down. That brush is the first thing we did. Also a chemical killer. That brush will help you identify where the dust is and how much dust is there. That will then give you the amount of the Glico you need. Now, to become very simple, because I know you do vacuum cleaning, then you do a carpet, brush, anything, dust, everything. Then you do fabric cleaner on the carpet, scrub it, suck it, done.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, this is what everybody's doing. Instead of now doing this, the only thing you do now is you pre-treat the surface with Glico. And
Okay.
you use 1 to 5 and 1 to 10. If you use a lot of dust, you see a lot of dust. If you see a lot of dirt, you're going to use 1 to 5. You see a little bit of dust, you're going to use 1 to 10. You're
I've
going
been
to
using it 1 to 5.
1 to 5. Okay, perfect. Most of the time, I will use 1 to 5.
I
Very
like
rare.
going heavy than light.
Yeah, I don't like to do it twice. I'm
Yeah,
already in the
exactly.
interior. I got to get the frick out. I got to get the frick out as fast as
Well,
possible.
and honestly, by the time it dries, I don't have time to go back over it a second time if I didn't go heavy enough with my cleaner.
Exactly. And you don't want to. It's already an interior, so we got to hurry up.
Yep.
So 1 to 5 of the surface processing is not necessary. Suck it out immediately. Give it 1 minute of help, and then suck it out, and then basically you're done. And then you follow up with your fabric cleaner, which you normally do, and then you make it a 2-step cycle. The only thing that Glico is doing is removing dust and breaking down something inorganic. Now, the simplest one is the example from Jurassic Park. You got the professor guy. He has this staff. In the staff is the barnstone, or the golden, and inside is the mosquito. So the stone is the inorganic, and the mosquito is the organic. So if you don't have an acidic product, or you don't have strong mechanical action to break off these fabric inorganic contamination, you need an acid. So for example, I dry Coca-Cola into the seat. When it's in liquid form, there's still water inside, but the water is going to evaporate, and everything else is going to be left into the seat. Sugar, caffeine, potassium,
Tannin.
carbohydrates, a lot of stuff is going to be left behind. So it's a mixture of inorganic and organic. We know organic can only be removed with alkaline. We know inorganic can only be removed with an acid. So to remove this, say that this inorganic stuff is covering the organic stuff, and it's like this shell, like the stone in Jurassic Park with the mosquito trapped. I can blast that with alkaline as much as I want. That mosquito is not going to be affected, and the barnstone is not going to be affected. But what if I hit it with an acid first? I open up the mosquito, and then when the acidic stuff has freed the inorganic, then you use your alkaline one or your fabric cleaner, and that is going to make it a full cycle. That breaking down of the inorganics is just enough for 1 to 5. I don't even process all the time. I now process because of the scrub pad. I do it really fast. Just a little bit of mechanical action, making center circle, full circle. Scrub it a little bit. I suck it dry, no extraction, no water, just out of the seat. That is going to be gone. So my dust, my inorganic, and my foam of the Glico is going to be gone. And then most of the time, following up with 1 step of a fabric cleaner is enough. Now, I've also had a couple of these cases that you have to do it twice and even 3 times. In the case of my grandmother's vegetable soup tipping over in the trunk of my car.
No,
I'll tell you honestly, that one step of 2 pH was not enough to neutralize what was going on in the trunk. With one Italian sun in the afternoon,
Oh
I
my
got
gosh.
and it was literally the residue, and it was a new scent. And I have smelled dead bodies in Afghanistan, but this was new. This was new. I've not smelled this before. That's basically it. It's just one pre-step of glycol right before you do your normal fabric cleaning. So you vacuum, glycol, 1 to 5, 1 to 10, scrub, whatever. But you suck that out first, and then you follow up with any alkaline cleaner. Doesn't need to be Ductilay. You can use any fabric cleaner in the world.
Okay.
The only downside is that if you use any other fabric, it's not a downside, is that you have to rinse out. So the second step, some form of rinsing is the best. And I'm talking about the extraction gun right before. That rinsing is enough. I'm not talking about soaking the seed with water. No, the extraction, that little pump of water is just enough to rinse out these surfactants, and then you are ready to go. And if you really want to be a nerd, you make 1 to 50 glycol. 1 to 50, you spray that on, that mixed in with the old surfactants of the alkaline product, and you rinse out everything at once.
And then that neutralizes the surface.
Yeah, then you have, and then that incrustation of that little bit of that alkaline surfactant crustiness is going to then disappear, or it's not even going to happen because you rinse out with surfactant in an acidic range.
I'll have to try that because, I mean, like I said, I'm typically using, I don't know if you've ever heard of a product like Bonnet Pro. They make like Rocket Revive It, or there's Surround Omegazyme or Fresh. They are hydrogen peroxide, citrus-based NCAP solutions. They kind of crystallize, if you have any residue left behind, they crystallize around the dirt. And then every time you vacuum, it just kind of lifts more of that NCAP solution out and brightens it.
Cool.
It's meant typically for bonnet cleaning, like that's where it really thrives. So I like using it for headliners and things like that. But when it comes to residue, I am big on minimizing the amount of residue left on the carpets, because that's when you have too much residue, that acts like glue and it's going to trap all future dirt and resoil faster. Yeah. So I know like Eddie and Jamie, they'll come at me and be like, oh, we're not extracting, we're just kind of blotting. And I'm like, it's too much residue. So even when I'm hearing you say Glico, cleaner, Glico, is that too much residue?
No, if you do the Glico that is the most beautiful thing I think about Glico. When you use Glico versus an alkaline product and you put them next to each other, you would do a 50-50. You would put the same amount of chemistry on the same amount of sides. You start sucking it out. The one that with the acid is going to feel drier. The Glico side is going to feel drier. It's because I think, now I'm not doing this, but I'm not the chemist. I believe
2 a.m. guys.
When the acidic stuff comes into contact with inorganic stuff, there's a reaction. Yeah, many people try to call this an exothermic reaction. It could be temperature, it could be gas, it could be CO2. There could be a reaction from the contact of acids with inorganics. And it could be that when that moment has happened, that there is less liquid or less, I don't know how to say. This is difficult stuff when you're not a chemist.
Well, and I'm hearing what you're saying, that basically it's neutralizing what Jamie said, that it's neutralizing that surface.
Neutralizing. Okay, if I take an acidic product and I have an alkaline product and I mix them together, then there's going to be a reaction and that's going to neutralize. That's called the exothermic reaction. But we're now talking about surfactants. So we are literally talking about rest chemistry left on the surface. So it's almost nothing. But what it does, if it's not neutralizing, but they throw each other off. So if there's alkaline surfactants and I throw acidic surfactants on it, they're going to fall off together because they bond together, because they counter each other. Neutralizing, if you really neutralize something, you have something that is going to neutralize into neutral. But what is happening on the car is that the surfactants are going to go away. We should test this once by putting a piece of paper with pH on the surface after a rinse with an alkaline product and see if the pH paper turns into anything other than 7. That would be interesting to see. That's something that I'm definitely going to do.
BTW 574 says, what are your thoughts on enzyme-based interior cleaners?
I have absolutely 0.0 experience with enzyme cleaners for the interior. The only experience I have is with the stuff that get my clothes clean, and I have very high success with that stuff. It's the stuff.
It would have helped with Oma's car. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it have to with Oma. It is something that Oma uses, but the gym bags, the stuff that you come from the gym or from the football, and that sweaty bags left in a week, and then a week later you open it up. There's new ecosystem rising from that. Those things are very good for the enzymes. Very good. Work very well.
So can you use glyco or ductile for your plastics?
Absolutely. I've been doing this for some time now. Off-label, we call it. I'm not a very good off-label guy, but when we find something off-label, we would like to promote it. And we are now using glycos to get a little bit of lighter acidic cleaning. So for the inside, Purifica is not a good go. Energo is also not good go. So to clean, in this case also, not so much for the cleaning, but for the neutralize, let's call it then neutralizing, then make it more simple. And if my camera sees this and I'm now making a mistake, it's going to beat the living shit out of me. So Giacomo, if you're watching, I told you neutralizers, but there is something happening. And with the plastics and glycol, we also have some cleaning, but it's also mostly to get rid of anything that was left before. So instead of a panel wipe, using alcohol and plastics might not be a good idea most of the time, especially with older plastics. And with the stuff like glycol, you can clean also the surfactants off from previous alkaline treatments, and then you neutralize into a bare surface, getting into what is more a clean surface than a real clean surface, instead of looking clean but is clean. So anything that I'm going to put on top in the form of protectant is going to stick better and is going to last longer.
I agree with Jamie. You're using a lot of big brain energy. For 2 a.m., this is very impressive. I mean, we're now almost 3 a.m.
I'm happy that you and I have a similar condition, is that we have this ADHD, but I try to use it for the benefit of the good of the world, not for the personal gain anymore.
So I know that you mentioned ever so briefly coatings. And when I had Andreas on my show, I asked him what are some coatings that he's really impressed with. And one of the ones he said was HPC 2.0. He said, you got to try it. It's amazing. So can you give me like a quick nutshell? I haven't used it yet. I did buy a bottle of it. Can you give me some quick tips on how to get the most out of HPC and what I can expect with that coating?
Okay, we have this. HPC is the upgrade. HPC 2.0 is the upgrade of HPC. So everything that we found that we could improve from HPC, we proved into HPC 2.0.
Will there be a 3.0?
Maybe in the future, probably, yeah. It's very well possible. In nano world, every week somebody's finding out a new molecule that you can stick to another molecule. So we could have a new ceramic coating type every single week. But the 2.0 is the first one that is really focused on end user and mobile detailing.
Okay.
So officially, we allow HPC 2.0 to be sold to end users, just like the SAM. Not in all countries. The importer is able to decide that for himself. But the 2.0 will give you the opportunity to do it in the more difficult conditions. Very cold, very warm. You have it in extreme forgiveness. We are in the range of that. The application is so easy that people doubting the performance, because when it becomes something too easy, it cannot really do something. So what you could do with 2.0, you don't have visual reference anymore. There's you put the coating on as homogeneous as possible. If you do too little, you will find out with duration. If you do too much, you will lose too much product. Okay. But there are now not really visible reference anymore. You could say it's sweating, but it's doing it in a different way than you are used to right now. Okay. There's no rainbow as you are used to right now. There's a substance that's on the surface. You see something happening, and I can tell you, if you wait 1 minute, you have waited long enough, and you can wait 10 minutes. You can probably also wait 20 minutes. And I'm not saying that you always have to wait 20 minutes, but you have the opportunity to put the entire side of the car at once, then take a break to see that you touched everything, and then start wiping off in a very slowly general manner, and then coat the car in about 20 to 25 minutes. But with a consumer grade coating comes also the ease of application. And with the ease of application, we are moving in the direction that is it still possible to have a good coating? Now I might say some things that might rattle the cage, but as I am also half awake, nothing that can be used against me in a court of law, is that chemical coatings, you can identify mostly very simply by the no change in the applicator. So you feel no difference in before and after, or a very slight difference. Then you are moving into something that is going to, you feel something. You know, there's something in the suede in the applicator. It might be going into the membrane. So sort of a membrane rubber type of a coating. It's not really rubber, but to give you an idea, an elastic stuff. And then you are slowly moving into the range of physical coatings when the applicator suede becomes really hard and really strong, and you can kill somebody with it. When that happens, the side effect of those hard ceramics is that they are very rough to the touch. They feel like taking a wet finger over a balloon. You can feel that it's smooth, but not smooth, silky. The difference with the top coat is that they don't have this physical stuff. They don't have the roughness. They have the silkiness and the chemical resistance. But what they don't like is friction. And any form of friction they don't like. You take any chemical coating, including HPC 2.0, you take it and you cure it and you put your elbow on the paint like this. You go back and forth 5 times, the coating is gone.
Is this while it's curing or after it's cured?
After it's curing. It's fully cured, a chemical coating that does not change the physical roughness of the applicator. And we're not saying that every coating that makes physical roughness in the applicator is a physical coating. It could be a side effect that's happening with the suede. It's nanotechnology. You know, we like to throw expensive words in the air, and I'm really reserved about this because I have no clue what's inside these bottles. I've been working with this stuff for almost 20 years now. That's not true, 15 years maybe. But I've been working with the stuff now every single time. It doesn't matter what it is. It's a clear liquid, looks like water. That's what it looks like. And they are all the same. Then one has polymers in it. The one has resin in it. One has SiO2 in it. I don't know what else. I've never seen SiO2. I know it's a powder. It's white. I know it because they showed it to me. Titanium oxide looks the same. But if you put them next to each other and you have a history like mine, you would think it's cocaine. You know, it's looking all the same. All these chemicals look the same. But what happens on these paints is that we have such a high expectation, and especially from a coating, you know, the year's duration versus the mileage, and then versus the location, then versus the weather type variables. There, we will never come to a conclusive, we are on the same page on a ceramic coating anywhere. You will have people who have extreme good success stories in certain regions of the country, and you will have regions where there are nightmares that happen. And any variable could be that. But if it's already wrong in the preparation, I mean, preparing for ceramic coating is probably more important than the actual application. So I'll tell you this. I'll ask you this. Nobody can ask me this question. How does a ceramic coating stick to the surface?
Well, you mean during application or after it's cured?
I'll take any information about this question. Anything you can give me to explain to me, how is it possible that a liquid, I'm putting on a suede, putting on the paint, letting it sit there, and when I'm letting it sit there, how is it sticking to the paint?
Well, I can regurgitate data that has been said to me that it's on a molecular level bonding with the clear coat.
Okay,
and
but how is it bonding? Because
I don't know, because again, I'm just repeating what people teach me.
And me too. They say
it's like faith in God. We don't necessarily see it, but we still believe it's there.
Exactly. So when I found out with these coatings and everything, and then of course I do. I'm not a stupid guy.
Now you're making me question everything, Reggie.
You have to question everything. You always have to assume they're lying, especially me. If you assume I'm lying and you prove what I tell by doing it yourself, we get to a certain trust. We start building trust. I tell you something, you try it, you confirm it. You tell me something, I try it, I confirm it. We build a trust around each other. You know I'm not bullshitting you. You're not bullshitting me. But with these coatings, you know, these what these people tell us, and what these expectations and promises and everything. And when I ask these questions, okay, so what is silicium dioxide? Nobody can tell me. Yeah, it's the stuff inside is SiO2. I understand. What does it look like? Well, how do you get it? Do you grow it on a tree? Where does it come from? How do you put it? And when you start asking these questions, and I do this with the chemists, and I ask 2 or 3 questions because then they start talking in their mumbo jumbo. Please, there's no sane detailer in the world that can understand what these people are talking about. We have finalized product. Even if there is a misconsistency in the bottle itself, it does not necessarily mean that it's going to be not working anymore. How long can you keep a ceramic coating outside of the fridge? How long can you keep it with the bottle open? Well, every single time you apply it, you can try it. If you do it once, so you buy HPC 2.0, you apply it today. Then you let that bottle sit in the cabinet for 2 years. You're going to ask me, how long can I save it? I could say 2 months, 3 months. You might be throwing it away. But you have a recollection of the first application. You can do another application after 2 years.
Completely different.
If it's different, but it could still be manageable. And I have had this discussion many times before, that we have indeed a validity date. And the validity date on the bottle is 2 years. That does not mean that we cannot use that product after 2 years, but we have to guarantee at least a certain amount of time from the production till that date, that what you can expect when you open that bottle is that ceramic coating that we promised you. After that moment, anything can happen. Variables like temperature, humidity, I don't know, whatever, can have an influence on that coating. But what I do is always try. I have done ceramic coating installation with coatings of ours 6 years old from 2019. Is it the same application? No. Do we have the same dwelling curing time? No. You have about 50% less. Solvents disappear, so it hardens faster. It becomes more difficult to remove, but it's still manageable. But chemical coatings and physical coatings and stuff like that, how much friction can you apply? If it's a ceramic coating and it cannot take strong chemicals, and I'll almost say if your ceramic coating cannot take an ergo, I don't know if you are really chemically protected. And if your ceramic coating cannot take an iron remover, then we are not really talking about chemically resistant iron, because all these products are not really, you are talking about car wash products. So they are not really super strong. If you are going into industrial cleaners, to make concrete melt off in seconds, when you're talking about that kind of stuff, then we are talking about chemicals that are in the range of chemically resistant, or coatings that are chemically resistant.
What is the chemical resistance of HPC 2.0?
Extremely high.
We don't have like a safe number. It's high.
It's how would you categorize it? So I would say like 90 caustic washes. So pH neutral, you could maybe double that. So 160 washes.
That's
And then
impressive, actually.
I would say if you have a coating like HPC 2.0, you have to do as much as you can touchless. So if you can touch and then only finalize touch for any form of friction for coating like that is finessed. Chemicals, you can throw on them touchless without damaging anything very easily. But when you start adding friction, and that's also why I do these stress tests, the first washes, everything is going fine. So I have seen your video about the ceramic coating, and after the show, I might share some things with you that give you some idea, but I will give you my some test videos I made, so you can exactly see where ceramic coating is failing and how you can see it and how you can identify it and where it's happening and how it's happening. It's very easy to see when you have it visually in front of you, and especially when you see it degrading next to another product. I will not say what's in the video, but I will show you exactly how you can see that with mechanical action. I can do chemical after chemical, nothing happens. As soon as I starting adding mechanical action, or friction in this case, now it's a non-lubricating caustic shampoo with a wool wash mitt. So I'm literally over-exaggerating the amount of mechanical action versus friction. Because if I use a very nice wash mitt or whatever, then we have a different type of friction, and this can probably go on for a very long time. But when I'm testing into the range of what the people could do, and not so much what they are doing. And that is also.
It feels a little confusing, though. And I'll explain why. Because here we are saying, you said earlier in the episode, we need some sort of contact to remove that film, to remove those things. Yeah. And we're saying that we need to go touchless to clean it, and that they're going to be more chemically resistant and last longer with a touchless method, which I totally get, because abrasion is probably the number one thing that breaks down a coating, because you're abrading off through contact washes and drying all those things. So then how are people supposed to properly clean their vehicle if we're saying touch it, but then that's the thing that's going to potentially weaken it? Yeah.
Friction. It's the device what we choose. I choose a wool wash mitt for stress testing because it has very bad gliding and it's very rigid. If I transfer the wool wash mitt into a microfiber wash mitt, I have less friction. It's going to be more soft and more delicate to the touch. That mechanical action part, the friction part, is the most important thing. Chemically, you cannot do so much very, very wrong. So take a sponge, a rinseless sponge versus a microfiber, what would you call the double flip, microfiber double flip. Okay. Both of them have cleaning capabilities. One of them cleans supposedly a little bit better than the other, but is it more because one cleans better or one has more friction than the other? Mm-hmm. So which one is generally touching the surface more, or stronger, or heavier, or more friction? Sandpaper versus microfiber, silk versus cotton, wool versus, and so on and so on. So the friction applied to the surface. I know There is no, like I said, with touchless cleaning, real touchless cleaning doesn't exist in Center Circle anymore. So there will be a touch, but we can manage that touch. We can also, after drying, for example, drying phase, that's why I see the popularity of drying aids very much. If you still have to use a towel, that dryer is going to be dry. There's going to be, with these twist loops, if you look at it, microfiber is not very smooth. If you zoom in, it's also like these hooks and
Yeah.
loops. It's pretty rigid. It's pretty plastic. So there's a lot of friction going on during the drying phase, and that friction is creating all these micro marring, dragging marks, and everything. So there will always be a touch necessary, unless the car is so clean that you can do it with the pre-wash, but then you're not really talking about a dirty car. I'm talking about stuff that is left behind after the pre-wash. If you do something that kicks a lot and you have something left off the surface, you need to know how much it is. A little bit of a tissue or anything white microfiber. I know we are not supposed to touch this, but you need to identify how much dirt is there. And it's going to help you in your experience, going to go on and on and on, and then experiencing these products. So Reggie said this. I'm going to assume that piece of shit is lying because he works for Labocosmetica. He's probably trying to sell me this product. There's no way in hell he's going to speak the truth. And when people start thinking like that, and then we do these things, and I tell these things because I don't benefit about telling lies. I am scared shitless of God. I am definitely having a very difficult judgment day with all the bad things I did in my life. But I'm repenting. I'm repenting for the last 20 years. Please cut me some slack, please, but still, it's very important to me. Very important. I don't want to lie. My son is one day going to see these videos. And then if I'm telling him how to be honest and loyal and disciplined and righteousness, and then he sees me lying online, I have no benefit about lying. I rather help people than create false expectations about stuff they have been seeing or hearing. Trust, man, plan.
Jamie had an interesting comment. I feel like it's shifting a little bit, but at the same time, not. He said, iron remover filled the gap before safer acidic soaps became available. And then he said, now anyone can use most acidic soaps and have pretty much zero concerns. So my question for you, and I was wondering about this. So if we use iron removers and they create an acidic reaction for the rail dust on our vehicles to help prevent, potential rust and all those issues, can acidic soaps basically take the place of needing an iron remover, let's say every 4 to 6 months to remove rail dust? Does that remove it at a more microscopic level to prevent those orange spots from setting up on the paint?
Most likely, yes. But we have to understand that when we talk about acidic, we are generalizing anything under 7. So 6.99 is acidic. We can debate about what we want. This is science, acidic.
Yep.
Somewhere in that range, there's a solution for anything inorganic. So if we say, okay, Purifica has a pH of 0 to 1, so the strongest of the strongest of the strongest, no caustic effect, but it's not strong enough to take off the rust. How is that possible? Because the pH level is acidic. Certain chemistry inside needs to be specified for the certain mineral. So we can generalize with Purifica a very big group of minerals, but there will be a group of minerals like in the iron oxide, in this case, the rust, something coming from the drywall, something like that. It could be more different type of minerals inside. So there will always be, I can see a combination. Sidero is close to having 2 things, doing limescale and iron remover at the same time, but not in the full spectrum. So we can take a small section that an acid and an iron remover can do together, and then we have the section that they have by themselves. So the iron remover has his section where he's going to be the strongest, most potent. What could happen if you use an acidic product more regularly, you could start using your iron remover as a checkup. So you use any acid wheel cleaner before you use an iron remover, and after the iron remover, you can do this. This is a good test. You do one with an acid wheel acid, one without, and then check after the pre-wash, and then you do this wash and you see which one has this purple effect.
Reaction.
Yeah, and that's what we were doing with this acidic APC, and we're using it on wheels to see how much it really took off. And then after that, use the iron remover as an identifier. I only use also on paint. I use iron remover as an identifier. If I think there's a lot of stuff there, I spray it on to see if the reaction is a lot of purple. If it's just a little bit purple, I'm probably going to do a clear. I'm not going to do iron removal with chemistry at all. I'm just going to move on. Just hurry this up.
So I had What's that? Can you repeat that?
No, I said, so I'm sorry. I'm just saying that Jamie is right. Has been a bridge. As soon as people finding out that iron removal is also most of the time are slightly acidic, they're in a close acidic range, but different type of range of acidic, and that indeed was a big bridge to open up the door for the normal acidic products. Especially when you first experience an acidic product and you put it on metal and it doesn't burn the metal, then I become confident from stuff like this. I put it on stuff what normally melts it off, and then I would say, okay, it's not doing anything. Even if I leave it over there, and that's maybe a good idea to check this out.
So I had a few people make comments about HydroSave that I've heard Eddie talking about this product in the past, and I'm not 100% sure that I feel comfortable using it because it sounded like there were some mixed results.
Yeah, if you follow the instructions by using it panel by panel, and you keep the dilution ratio and you follow the instructions, you will have a great success. But there is protection inside, and that sticker on there is making sure that you cannot miss the fact that there's protection inside, and a lot of protection, as you find out.
How long does it last?
It could last a couple of weeks, as we saw in the testing phase. And I was very surprised in the beginning that it was that long, but it was on an untreated car, and you could literally see the difference of the part. We were using this for a video of the German importer, and that car I saw 6 weeks later during Christmas or New Year's or whatever, and then I saw it was still fairly clean compared to the rest. So there is a talk on the street that there's a production going on of rinseless that's not making any protection, but it's very important to use panel by panel. And if you do panel by panel, you have a lot of success, and you will have what you would expect from rinseless. To me, these products together with ceramic coatings are the most expensive products in the detail industry. Rinselesses. Marco's going to kill me if I say this.
Do you think they have a place? I mean,
yes,
it seems like you guys like the foam and the pre-sprays and all those things.
The availability here is a completely different story. The regulations you have, the opportunities we have to wash our cars, the availability of water, it's closer. The Netherlands, also Germany, this culture about how people look at their cars. So I understand the rinseless. I did a rinseless this week. I had a car in the studio that I'm going to rent this month from today. Actually, I have to start paying rent from today. I might as well go immediately after this to work, so I save some rent money. But I had a car in the studio. The battery was dead. There was no moving the battery, so I simply had no other chance than to use a rinseless wash inside of the studio, and I did it very successfully. I used a little bit Paludria acidic because I saw some water spotting going on all over the place. I put it on the car. I rinsed the car. I washed the car. I did not rinse the car. I just dried the car, and I immediately moved to polishing. So there is definitely a place, and there is a place for everything. There's even a place for a waterless wash. I mean, if there's a demand, then there will be products. The only thing that I'm not saying the consumer needs to do is become more critical. As soon as they become critical, and if they start asking questions, they are going to force manufacturers to change, as we are doing now. LABO started with the alkaline and acidic, really openly starting to address it, then starting to say, okay, now we hang a label to it. We make VDA certified, so we have this independent body testing these products to generate that trust so people can start using the products safely. And it's basically the entire story of Labocosmetica, trying to change the culture, helping people, because making these products, Purifica is so good compared to anything else that we can charge double and still be safe in the range that you can charge this. But then it doesn't become available to everybody, and we are selling everywhere. We are in 35 countries with LABO, 67 countries with Mafra. So we are in a lot of places. So you have to make products for everybody. You cannot say, we are only going to make a product for the US, or only make a product for Australia, or only for specific. Sometimes it happens, yes, because it's a specific market demand that needs to be addressed at that spot. And we can do that because we have another manufacturing facility in India. We have one in Kazakhstan. Maybe something in China in the future. We don't know. The company is still expanding. So, yeah.
Difficult wants to know, can you wax your car after using Hydrosave? I know a couple people were saying they wouldn't recommend it, but if it lasts only a couple of weeks and you
I would
want
think
something more stout, what are your options without having a difficult experience?
so. I know for sure, if you just do the normal rinseless wash and you don't do too much rubbing. So if you use the sponge, you have more friction than you use the microfiber with the rinseless washing. You will
Okay.
probably activate more protection with the sponge than with the microfiber. So if you use
Okay.
less friction wash media, there's less protection linking to the surface, and you will have higher possibility of that wax. But if you start using a real wax, you are using abrasion, so you are removing anything that is left behind by the protection. That physical contact you make with that little applicator is enough to remove the protection of any rinses in the world.
Will it create streaking with the
The rinse,
Hydrosave rejecting it?
no, it's too little product. If you look at the rinseless. You ever looked at the rinseless? Really looked at the rinseless when
I
what's
mean,
inside? I mean,
it's
there's not,
liquid. I can't really see too.
it's
Are we
freaking.
saying on a molecular level? No.
I'm saying that I like to look at density when something is like 1 liter. 1 liter of water weighs 1 kilogram. So if I add chemistry into 1 liter of water, it becomes the density rises. So in chemistry, we don't measure in volume, we measure in weight. So
Okay.
if you go to our factory, you see every chemistry is 25 kilos, but most of them have different levels. So
Interesting.
supermodel, for example, is very low because 25 kilos because the density is higher.
Hmm.
When I then look at a rinseless, and I think it's like water with a little bit of soap and a little bit of sprinkles, a little bit of magic inside, and then I have to dilute it. It's like getting what's this stuff called? The mixture stuff. You have mixed water and a Kool-Aid. You have Kool-Aid. You give me Kool-Aid. You sell me the Kool-Aid, and after you sell me the Kool-Aid, you are going to say dilute this 1 to 256, and you say seriously, I'm going to taste the sugar when we do this.
Yeah.
So from this point of view, there is not much going on into a rinses, and especially with the amount of protection. If it was that much, I think it's the amount of friction you apply. Your friction with the sponge creates more of the protection than with the microfiber and John 1 pass.
Someone wanted to know why does Hydrosave stain sponges?
There is what was the explanation? So the staining is something that occurs during and after, and it becomes worse if you don't address it. So when the cleaning is going on, somewhere the dirt needs to go. Polymers stick to the dirt. The dirt with the polymers are probably sticking into the sponge, and then you have to agitate that to get that off. So just a little bit of chemistry like this is not enough. You probably have to scrub it in between to make sure. And I believe it's also important to see that the sponge needs to stay clean so that you can see that when it's dirty, you rinse it and you make sure you are touching the surface always with the clean wash media. So I understand the situation of the wash media that it's staining, but eventually anything you wipe dirt with is going to stain. So your shoes, walking outside, your glove, your washing, your drying towel, even your drying towel is going to stain, even though you wash your car. So somewhat dirt has to go somewhere. I read online that Dawn is apparently very good. Dawn dishwashing, something like this. I don't know, but that is supposedly very good against these stains in the wash media.
I've got
But
a cheaper option, and Jamie recommended it.
which
Just
one?
soak it in Nemesis.
Soak in the Nemesis, is that
That's
also
their
different?
rinseless wash.
Okay. Yes. Okay. No. You need 2 products.
One
One to
rinseless
wash,
into another
one.
rinseless.
Good one.
Makes total sense, right?
Yes, it's good. You see, these guys are turning into salespeople, man. Freaking.
They're very good at what they do.
Find a way to sell another product. Very good.
So, what are some of the differences between the way people detail in Europe versus the US? Do you feel like we do anything really good, or do you feel like we're behind with technology?
You guys are now making my job 10 times more difficult because
Why?
you want easy so much. And
We're lazy. We're
you know,
Americans. What can we
and
say?
I like so it's the same with video games. I like to play Call of Duty, but I like to play Call of Duty on veteran level. If I play easy, I'm just walking through the game. So what I'm doing here, I need to be in despair, in terror. And with detailing, it's the same. And during my travels, I think I've been around now 35 countries from Asia to Australia. The only place I never went was South America yet. Not until, but for the rest, even Africa. The culture, everybody's washing their car. Everybody. Every single one.
Frequently?
Sorry?
Frequently?
Frequently, yes, depending on where you are. And so the Asian countries you will find, so especially Korea, there are no dirty cars in Korea. So we cannot do anything inside of, like I would say, demos of some sort in Korea, because in Korea everybody has the car clean. Everybody spends minimally about 2 to 3 hours cleaning their car a week. As I see, it's like a day out, and a Dutch guy will wash his car, but he will probably go inside of the car wash and then spend only $7.50, because then his car's at least clean enough and he doesn't care about the wax because it's just going to wash off with the next rain. So they are literally in the basics on the basics. And if I think the biggest difference, and it's only because we have Europe, so many countries so close to each other, so many different car countries, so many different car loving countries. So we have Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, and then UK. You have so many close, so the connection and the communication is also very close. But if I think it's the biggest difference is that we in Europe are mostly focused on substrate-based detailing, and the United States is focused on result-based detailing. So
ease.
Let's rephrase this. I don't want to insult anybody, but it's just because I'm going to take the example from the things I have seen. Say, a European guy will clean the wheel, but he's also going to look out, okay, what is going to happen if I use this wheel cleaner? This wheel cleaner is going to clean it, but is it dangerous for the wheel calipers? Is it dangerous for the brake disc? Is it dangerous for anything else? And the United States guy, and this might sound insulting, but he will use depleted uranium if he will get that wheel clean.
Especially if it's in a cool bottle.
Exactly. If it smells nice, if it looks great, if it's slick gloss smell to the touch, and that's great. That's fantastic, because still the surface, we can debate about it or not, the surface is clean. But so you guys are focused on results. I got a dirty wheel. I need it clean now. This is what I'm going to use. Hack, tag, bam.
So are you saying that everyone in the UK is like John from Forensic Detailing, or like Andreas? Like, is that the norm?
For me, they are. Yes, they are. They're looking at it like this, and then it's great because Andreas is not a detailer. That is the great thing about Andreas. Andreas knows everything about detailing, but have never been a detailer. But his researching skills, and for you have no idea. I've been to his house.
Yeah. So I've seen your podcast together.
If the zombie apocalypse is going to happen, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to get my sword here at this cabinet. Then I'm going to go to my friend's place in Square Mountain City. My first stop is going to be Switzerland. I'm going to sit on the mountain in the eagle's nest with Andreas to sing out the entire apocalypse, because there I will be safe. In the bunker, it's ready to go. There's two sides to everything, and Andreas is that guy. That's where I'm going to go when the zombie apocalypse starts.
He's prepared for everything.
Yes. And so in Europe, everybody's focusing on, okay, it's doing this, but what is the aftermath? What is going to be happening to my substrate if I keep using this, especially in leather? I have.
Oh yes, he's big on leather. Don't get him started on leather.
I have changed everything I did with leather. He even proved me right. He proved himself right when he said, if you do that to your leather, you are going to create this, this, and this. And I said, we will find out if it's going to melt off. Well, it didn't melt off, but everything else that he said happened, and I had to sit on that seat for 12 hours. So I had leather stuck to my jeans, and it was sticky, and it was icky, and I had burn marks on my legs, and it was disgusting. So my own stubbornness led to a big mistake that was actually prevented by Andreas by saying, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. But in Europe, people are focusing mostly on the substrate. So yes, we are cleaning this, but what about this? And what is going to happen after? In the United States, the rise, it's going to come. People are going to say, okay, listen, this is fading my plastics too much. Is there another way to do this? So the demand will come by the experience of the people. People will have an experience of a product, they have a result, and they said, I want to do better. And if the better is better, but not faster, easier, and simpler, or cheaper, because that does not actually mean we need to go into difficult. Not everybody has to do difficult. But if
you like difficult.
If a ceramic coating is really difficult to apply, I know for sure something's going on. The more easy it gets, the more less I have a confidence that something happened.
That's true. That's kind of my thoughts too. But
Literally. And
I
anybody that,
still like easy. I mean, who likes difficult? You do, but I
especially from
don't.
a professional point of view, if you have to make the moves, time is your biggest enemy. If you have a limited amount of time, you have to generate miracles of results in a very short period of time. Then you have to cut corners, and you will find any way necessary to get those corners. But if you could and you had the time and you were just doing it for the pleasure of doing it, you will find that way. Some things are born out of necessity.
I do feel like, when we're talking about detailing in Europe or internationally in the US, I do feel like there is a change occurring. And I do believe a lot of it is from YouTube. There's more people educating on YouTube, demonstrating the science behind detailing and why we do what we do. And customers are watching that and starting to educate. But like, what are some ways that, we still need to get there, like as Americans? Like, what are some of the things you think we're struggling with that we need to improve upon?
Pain correction, hardcore pain correction, and I said it's not United States specific. It's everywhere.
In what
It
way
is,
specifically?
it is the least developed skill of every single detailer in the world. It is. I see them spend time on anything else except pain correction. Pain correction. Okay, let's say I have to rephrase. Polishing and paint correction. In paint correction, I mean sanding and literally slicing off some stuff. And with polishing, I'm removing some swirl marks, paint defects, and stuff like that. In that range, everywhere in the wheel, everywhere, struggling with it. It's true. But it's also because of your government, what they supply you with. Because I know I like healthy food. I like cheat food as well, but I also like healthy food. And it was difficult to get healthy food in the United States from all the trips I made.
Yeah, that's
Good
for
food,
sure.
great food, and good tasting food, yes, but healthy food, something else. Digressing, what was I saying?
Think paint correction, what we're struggling with.
Polishing and paint correction. And for the love of God, I have a perfect practical example. I went to Slovakia for training last year. I met there something really special. And when someone really special, but we did paint correction there. 5 guys were literally polishing the paint to perfection. And I was asking questions to them. I said, where did you learn this? How did you do this? Why? They had different techniques, but the way they were working, I could see they could easily do this for 10 hours a day without getting tired. They found an easy way to do this, but an extremely effective way. I asked them all the same question. Where did you learn this? And then they asked me, by myself. And I did it like this, this. Different pads, different machines, all great polish. The best I've seen in the world. Then I asked, did you watch YouTube? And all 5 of them said no. They have never watched a YouTube video, and they could polish in 3 years better than I've seen almost anybody around the world doing it 10 years, 20 years. Influence can be a good thing, but influence can also be a really bad thing. If you get 5 sets of information that lead to 5 different results, you get lost out there. And you cannot deviate and identify the ones that are really trying to help you or the ones that are trying to make money. It's very difficult. It's very difficult, even for me. You can say, okay, Reggie is great. You have sit here, but you get paid by Labocosmetica. Exactly. I'm right here. I'm prostituting myself here, sitting in front of a camera in the middle of the night.
Or morning.
Or morning. Yeah, but we're already in morning. But this is, so who can you listen to? And I tell you, it's yourself. It's doing. You said something about master detailer. I'd say to you something that does not exist. If you have mastered something, you can keep the qualities, but there's no more improving after mastering. There's mastering and that's it. And with detailing, every 2 years something changes. We have to master something else, a different type of clear coat, a different type of trim that used to be chrome but is now plastic with a little bit of chrome on it. We get these challenges trying to figure out. They are not spending more money on paint, the car manufacturers. They are making it cheaper and lesser and CO2 and environment. I think Tesla is doing it outside in the woods and using the wind as the spray. And not so
Are
much.
you kidding me?
No, I'm just
Is
joking.
that a joke?
Yes, because they are extremely green. And if you look at the finish of the car,
I was like, please tell me no.
but there's always dust spots or something in the paint of a Tesla. So I said they probably do this outside in the woods and then throw the paint in the wind, and the wind will do the rest just to cut down CO2.
That's funny. Oh my gosh. No, well, I mean, I was going to say, then what do you say for the ridiculously thin paint that we're dealing with now? Because I'm working in, maybe this is different being in the US. I've never detailed internationally to know. If I'm assuming that people internationally take more pride in their vehicles, take more care in washing it, there's, I mean, obviously abrasion, contact is where we get swirls and scratches, but if they are really thinking and analyzing what they're doing and what they're using, their vehicles are probably in really good condition. Plus, they like putting protection, which we all know the benefits of that. In America, I'm not going to speak for everyone. I know within the detailing community, obviously, we're big fans of washing our cars, but my customers, they don't. They don't
Mm,
care.
mm.
And I feel like that is 60, if not percent more of Americans where we're taking it through the automatic car wash. They're getting hammered, no protection. And the reality of paint perfection just doesn't exist for
No.
most of my customers. And so, like, I just do gloss enhancements for 70% of the polishing jobs because that's all that's really needed because they're going to take it to the automatic car wash with brushes in a week.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. These people will not even get a ceramic coating from me. I would not sell them a ceramic coating. I would not sell them a 3-stage polishing process. I would just sell them, listen, what do you do? My intake is basically, what do you do? How do you wash your car? I spend every week 2 hours. Okay, show me, what do you use? And if they're already in the right direction, I'm going to help them generate a finish that they can enjoy for a long time. But if they are the customers, like we have the same ones here, $500 for a car detail. Are you insane? I can drive 150 times through the car wash with that kind of money. Exactly, sir. But this day I'm going to help you and then make an enhancement. So it's a quick finish, one step. Something is going to remove the swirls, going to leave the RDSs over with that, but the customer doesn't even see them. You are in the service business. You are supposed to make your customer happy. And we are detailing it. And if somebody from China has an opinion about my detail that I did for a customer here in the Netherlands, fine that he has an opinion, but I'm in the service business. My customer's happy. I'm happy. The contract is done. And that there are still holograms, even about holograms. We can debate about what they want. If the customer does not care, you're in the service business.
Mm.
Are you really going to convince him to take off those holograms that he does not see?
Yeah.
You might as well just give him what he wants and then save yourselves another step, another bearing physical labor to try to get those holograms off, to slicing off even more of that thin paint that's already so thin that you're squeaking your ass cheeks together when you are using a rotary machine very closely to the edges, stuff like that.
So you have a product on here that I wanted to ask you about.
Tell me.
All right, you have Fiero, you have Vitrio, which is a glass polish,
Yep.
and then you have Fiero, which is a super finish polish coating primer,
Yep.
and then you have Liale. And I'm just bringing this up, and let's see, I'm gonna add this to. So you have Liale.
Yep.
When it says sensitive paint, are we talking GM paint?
We are talking that sticky stuff. We are talking about that where the powder of the dusting starts to stick to that paint. And then when you have an extremely difficult wipe off, even after you do 4 cycles of polishing, you still have difficulties wiping off. Land Rover type of paint, Triumph type of paints, they feel like plastic. That's specifically that type of paint that we invented Leale for.
Okay.
We
All
call
right.
this our one step. This is the one that has the capabilities by changing the pads to move with its cutting and finishing range a little bit wider. So with the yellow finishing pad or yellow polishing pad, a little bit of the general colors, you can get a long way with the stuff. But if you use a wool pad, you also have some nice cutting. The finishing then becomes a little bit less, but then you indeed have something, what we like to call the one step, a step that can do it in one hit.
But then you have Fiero, which
Yeah.
is supposed to be your coating primer. Now, you basically would polish with this, and then you could go straight to your protection with
Yes.
HPC or whatever.
Yes, but there's the big but, because people underestimate the amount of panel wipe you have to do to get Fiero off. So what
Okay.
Fiero does not change your finish, but it leaves something behind that helps the coating bond. Supposedly it's called SAM, S-A-M technology. If I looked it up on Wikipedia, I cannot make any sense out of this entire piece of text, but it basically comes down that it builds itself up through a layer during the heat. So something happens during the polishing. You have the friction turns into heat. Some chemical inside of Fiero is transforming. It's changing during the heat. Then it's leaving behind, making a bonding agent for ceramic coatings. You feel it. You feel there's a slicker surface. And if you still want to panel wipe, you can, definitely, but you have to do it multiple times so that the panel wipe lies flat on the surface and does not bead off.
Okay.
Finish does not change, but this is the problem with the industry, that priming products in the detailing industry became filling products.
They honestly, most of them feel sticky though afterwards.
This is a little bit grabby, could be possible, yeah. But these priming stuff kind of as things used to fill, or priming means preparation, and simply just a preparation product that can finish at a high level. So you have, in some cases, it's even finishing too high. So there are even types of paints that Fiero has to struggle with as a finisher. So that's much abrasives are inside of Fiero. So even more than in Audacia, very funnily.
And I see here that it can work on sensitive surfaces as well.
Yes.
Okay, I'll have to check out.
The sensitive surfaces, I specifically when we are talking about sensitive, we are talking about this paint that you almost cannot touch. When you do the microfiber like this, you already have the miring going on, something like this, that I use Fiero, but I leave Fiero until the paint is fully cooled down, and then I start wiping again to try to get a more damage-free installation of ceramic coating. But some paints are literally so difficult that it's almost impossible to get a ceramic coating on there without creating any haze or any marring.
So beyond the 3 pH soaps, the 2 pH on the interior, what would you say are some silent hitters from the Labocosmetica line that you think some people should check out?
If you really want a silent hitter, the one that has impressed me the most simply by doing it is Vitreo glass polishing. And I thought glass polishing was something, okay, real glass polishing, yes, there needs a little bit more attention to that. But if you are talking about a little bit of glass polishing with the windshield wiper scratches, Vitreo glass polish on a rotary with a little bit of lubrication and slow speed, I generated miracles, literally miracles. I was impressed by myself what this product did with the rotary and a hard pad, just no technique, just go back and forth, little small sections. That one transformed literally something very interesting to me. It added something to the service list because I took a full hour for one windshield, and I created an amazing result on my own car. It was literally impressive. So Vitreo is definitely one of them. Since last year, Nitido for glass cleaning. Or anytime, anywhere, inside, outside, hot, cold, freezing, scorching hot, in direct sunlight, you can always clean your windows with Nitido, the glass cleaner. Very big one for me. And then I have to say, after my favorite, it will be Veritas, the panel wipe. And I'm very soon going to make a video about this product where I'm going to show everything that I've ever done with this product. Remove ceramic coatings after 24 hours, remove high spots after 24 hours, dissolving coatings after 24 hours, literally in front of your eyes. Showing beading and sheeting performance, because I like to use this product as well to see if it's still managing itself. This is one of the most potent panel wipes in the world, if not the most potent right now.
Is it safe for plastic?
At a certain level, yes, of course, definitely.
It doesn't sound. It sounds like it might melt things.
It's a solvent. So most plastics, left for the sticky plastics, the old plastics can take a lot. Plastics are actually very chemically resistant. But this one was the one that I really do not like. Some products I don't like to being sold to end users for DIYs and stuff like that. Some products just need to be for DIY, hassle-free, danger-free, that you can just mindfully wash their car without thinking about health and hazard and stuff like that. And products with solvents inside, it's a great smell, they say, but inhaling solvents is not a very good thing. You need to use this product when you need it. It's behind you when you need it. If I'm doing a ceramic coating installation, this product is behind me, and it's just looking at me. So I look behind me and then I see this bottle of Veritas, and I know my guardian angel is dead. So if I make a high spot, that I always make, I've had 2 installations with no high spots. I probably did not find
master detailer,
but I did not find them. So that probably means that I thought I did 2 perfect installations, but I did not find the high spots. There are always high spots, always. And it's the first one that says there are no high spots. That's the guy. I will find you. I will come to you. I will check your car. I will find that high spot. I always make high spots, always. And especially with a product like this, then it becomes a lot easier that
you need a softbox light. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's, I rather have no problem than a solution. This is a solution. If I cannot don't make the problem, I don't need a solution. Same with water spot removers. Do you need a water spot remover? No, you need a really good drying towel.
So you're telling me Veritas can remove a set-in coating, like it can remove it
Yeah,
without having to polish it off?
yeah, I'm going to prove it to you, of course. Everything I'm going to prove.
Dude.
I need proof about this, but I will make a video about that because it has been in my mind for a very long time.
That could be a game changer for some customers that maybe they have an old coating and detailers are saying, the only way to
No, that
remove
one,
it is to polish it. This is a more affordable option.
okay. Just to clarify, we are talking about in the first, let's say 24, 36
Okay,
hours.
so we're not saying a
No,
cured coating.
no, because if
Okay.
a cured coating is being removed by a product like this, it is a really bad coating.
Well,
Because,
that's what I was saying. Is it safe for plastics? Because
yeah, but it's,
if it can remove a coating, now if we're removing a 24-hour baby coating, okay, do we have to recoat afterwards with this product? Like, is it removing the high spot
yes,
or is it removing the coating?
depending on how long you are, but I will show that exactly in the video. And I will prove that to you because we'll use the product, but with a little bit of dapping. Again, the friction is here the key. Rubbing, wiping, or a little bit of dapping. There are 3 different types of friction, 3 different types of outcomes. The ones with the wipe, coating is gone. The dapping, coating is most likely there. But I will also prove to you if it's still there after that application. I have to go full cycle with this product. I'm going to call this the Veritas Once and For All, OFAE, just like I did with Primus 2.0. I made once and for all, so that all hesitations about this product, that I have the information in one video. And I'm happy that everybody's asking these questions, so I can add all these things in one video and then have some media in the background that I can send to the dealers and to the importers to support them with the questions from all around the world.
Now, is Derma Cleaner 2.0, is this Andreas approved?
Yes, but Andreas would say it is very strong. So
I was gonna say I used it the other day and it's a potent hitter. Like I hit a dirty leather seat and I had the drip marks that normally tells me like it's a potent cleaner.
This is very strong. pH 10, I believe, even very strong.
That's like borderline, like the top where Andreas would say like beyond 10 is like.
So are you already going into the danger range?
Yeah.
Right? So there's maybe.
But I kind of want a heavy hitter.
Yeah, but if you can understand that with the mechanical actions or what was chemicals, they can take better than they can take mechanical action. Friction is the killer also for the leather. Only the downside is the friction we don't see on matte top coat from a paint, from leather. We don't see the damages, we see them over time. So what I did with this product is I made an off-label use and I checked it by myself in the lab by 1 to 5. If it needs to be very light general cleaning, and if you are at 1 to 5, you are at pH 8.
Okay,
you are very close. Yeah, but then you are the mixture is not stable. It's not something you can use for 100 years because it's officially not a concentrate. It's a ready-to-use product.
So make it in a baby bottle.
Yeah, I'll use it only because 1 to 5 you need a little bit of product and you can get a long way. And if you use approved mechanical action sponges or brushes you cannot use, but scrub pads or anything for the leather. But again, also with the leather, it's the friction that literally kills it all. The chemicals in combination with the friction. Again, the friction is the one.
No, I was very impressed with it. I normally have used, Eddie makes fun of me. There's a product from Superior Products. It's their leather cleaner. It melts dirt. But I'm pretty sure it's like a pH of 12 or 13. I only use it on like severe situations, but I know I'm probably damaging the top coat of the leather. So I'm trying to find products that will clean, but that aren't going to like endanger the very delicate top coat.
I believe at least once.
Andrea said that if it's that dirty that a pH neutral leather cleaner couldn't remove it, then it's time to like re-dye it. And I was like, I feel like we're tapping out a little too soon. Like I would go straight to we need to re-dye. Like that's a little extreme, but you know.
He's right.
Let's just try Derma Cleaner and maybe we'll dilute it 5-to-1 next time. Just to
at least
save
one
some money.
time in its lifetime, the leather should be able to take a heavy hit of chemicals.
At least one? Okay.
At least one. I mean, I think it's the repetition of if you keep doing it, you destroy it. And if there's, like you said, there is a situation. If you have to spend 1 hour with a pH neutral cleaner in a professional manner, and you spend now 5 minutes with,
and I'm scrubbing. Pretty sure the abrasion has
Yeah.
done more damage than the chemical, like you
But
said.
you can say to the customer, "Hey, listen, we can do this the Andreas Schwarzinger approved method of leather cleaning. It's going to cost you a little bit more.
A little bit more.
We can also do the Chelsea method. I will be done in 5 minutes, and warranty at the doorstep. Something like this. But it's yeah. These
Oh,
products will always have a place, always. Even the safe products. Safe products is great. It's great to have safe products. But yes, what happens when it's really dirty? What happens when we go into the range that safe products don't do anything anymore? What are we going to use? Hammer and chisel? No, we're going to use stronger chemicals. And then safety goes out the window. Funny thing, so I want to drop this with you. You know what high alkaline means? You know that there's a term for that, high alkaline? If you talk
I
about
just always assumed it's a higher on the pH scale.
so above 12 is high alkaline.
Okay.
Anything else is just normal alkaline. So if somebody says high alkaline, from now on, that is going to
12,
be
12 and up.
somebody says Primus is high alkaline. Primus is not high alkaline. Primus is 11. 11 and 12, between 11 and 12 is a big jump. Really big jump.
Cleaner Car says, what if someone removed the top coat on leather with too much sauce? Asking for a friend.
Been there.
Call Andreas.
Been there, done it. I have seen what happens. I think the biggest, simplest trick is if you are going to use detergents and you do not know, if you can see visible damage, you already know you cannot treat it like undamaged leather. What you do, that nuclear Chernobyl stuff that you use for the leather, that you can use one time, but not on damaged leather. Damaged leather, definitely all detergents are almost out of the window. Because if you spray the detergent on the leather, you see the detergent disappear in the leather. And when that happens, then it happens what happened to me. You get this hydrolyzation going on of the leather inside and the alkaline product working after. If you are going into the range, you literally destroyed it and it's done. And on my seat, it was done. It was literally soaking up the derma. I scrubbed it, and it was still sticky and icky after 12 hours. After 24 hours, the leather was done. Andreas
when your
right.
leather is absorbing any sort of liquid, it's done.
Then it's done. If it's beating off, you have something that's performing. But beating off could also mean somebody put WD-40 because that stuff beats like crazy.
Or it's like real, like King Ranch leather. Those are a little bit, they're different.
If you say so, because it is not my specialty, it's leather. I am now learning a little bit more about how it's made and where it comes from and why it's been treated this way and why we have to treat it that way, how we can get the longest duration. And it's literally, I'm looking at with one eye, I'm looking at Koch and looking at them. You bastards, you made a pH neutral APC that works fantastic. How did you do it? How did you do it? Full stop. It's pH neutral, it works fantastic. Mind blowing. I need to know.
Well, we've been at this for an hour and 45 minutes. I know you have been a trooper, staying up so stinking early. My last question for you, what improvements or changes would you like to see in the detailing industry? And how do you think Labocosmetica can meet those needs?
I think from the detailing industry, from the manufacturer's point of view, we don't need changes. We need changes from the user's point of view. We need hardcore, critical, bashing people, murdering, destroying everything that's wrong, that is going to push products and push manufacturers to make better products. The demand is leading to the situation like this. The fast, easy, simple, cheap culture has led to an enormous jump into the ease of application with loss of quality, literally. In the United States, and there are probably other places in the world, people literally use a product that is less performing but smells better than the good performing smells worse. To me, that is absolute insanity, because if that is really the case, then go work in a perfume store where you can smell smells the entire day. But in the end, people, we are cleaning our cars. And sometimes it's going to get dirty. You are already cleaning cars and it's not going to smell very nice. So if the demand from the industry becomes, we need better products, then the manufacturers will change. You see it now. PFAS is becoming a thing. I'm not even going to tell you what's going on in my country, but literally we cannot eat anything anymore. Even the wine supposedly has PFAS in it right now. Everything. So
if they're forever chemicals, do we ever really get rid of them? Like, isn't the damage already done?
No. It's a repeated exposure and accumulation. So
I have been cleaning without gloves since I was 17.
I've been in your same range. Yes, I've also been into the chemical tanks. I've been into the wells. I've been into places. I'm still here, but I'm still here because my detox program is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I need to know more about this detox program.
We can talk about that because it's a little bit off-label use, but it's working very well. I have not had
It's
any.
not a Labo product, is it?
It's not an LABO product. It's a God-given product. Works fantastic. Has saved me from medication for the last 7 years. It's
Oh
also
yeah,
an
we're
American.
totally going to be chatting behind the scenes. I need to know this.
Yeah. So from a consumer point of view and from a professional point of view, the demand for higher quality products needs to go up. And when that is, we can make these products as Labo, but if there's no demand for that, we at least we still have to sell these products to stay alive. So a manufacturer will say anything to you to get you to buy that product. And you have to become brutally critically. And then if you follow the rules and you follow the instructions and you have a bad situation, then it's time to go. But if you don't follow the rules and you don't follow the instructions and you start bashing a product, we're not getting anywhere. Because then you are going to give me your feelings again. Yeah, Reggie, I feel. No, I don't have any emotions. I need facts. What happened? Show me a video. Because if something goes wrong, so if something goes right, I always see a video. If something goes wrong, I get an email.
That's true.
Well, where's the video? What happened? Show me the video. There's no video. I'm writing this to you. Yeah, but you show the video. But give me a video. No, there's no video. There's only text. Come on. It's 2025. Shoot the video. Put it online.
Well, here you have some feedback, and you said you wanted some hard hitters. Detail Products YouTube channel did a deep dive into ingredients of HydroSave and found some toxic ingredients. Can you please address this? Why are you excited about this?
Because this is a question. If somebody asks this question, I can talk about it, but I cannot just openly start addressing stuff that is happening in the industry. But this is the perfect opportunity for me to finally address this situation.
Way to go, Bree.
So we have, the reason for this is very simple. We work under the CLP and REACH certification in Europe, the strictest legislation system for chemicals, what needs to be inside. And REACH states that if there is any form of toxic chemicals in the slightest amount, it needs to be on the SDS. You also see this on the back of the bottle. We have the danger signs, we have the risks and safeties, we have the instructions, we have the ISO certifications. The labels of Labocosmetica and Mafra are the labels that are closest to the greatest labels in legislation in the world. Nobody is closer to legislation than us. Nobody. Because this is our thing. We have people at work that do these things. Those chemicals inside, even as slightly as they are inside, need to be mentioned on the SDS. They have absolutely no influence on your health because they are below a certain ppm, parts per million range. So they are in there, yes. And CLP REACH says we have to say they are in there. That is a big difference. So on the REACH, we have to say they are in there. And you have to realize that the SDS is for the product itself. It is not about the dilution you use after. It is about the product itself. So when I'm handling the product, everything around storage, pouring, mixing, changing, transporting, that's what the SDS is for. So when something happens with that product and you get it under your skin, just like it says on the label, wear gloves, may irritate your skin. And it says even the danger label of the corrosive on the HydroSafe. So if you turn the bottle, all the information that you need about risk safety is already there. And the SDS states even more and goes even deeper. Now, and if you want to do REACH certification, if you have a REACH certification, you can basically sell almost anywhere because your certification is so high, your legislation is so high. So it has to be airtight, watertight. You cannot screw around with these things. Changing chemicals or changing SDSs is criminal. Literally, if you take stuff out, it's absolutely fucking criminal. And especially with products like this, it shows indeed the guy has literally not given me any credentials. So I need to know, is he a professor? Where is his diploma? Show me your diploma, show me your university, because now you're just another YouTuber throwing some stuff out. You have 10% knowledge about chemicals. And then you start, yeah, this is dangerous. This is dangerous. Yes, they are. Definitely they are dangerous. As they say here on the SDS that they are dangerous. It even says the toxicology. It says next to it. How are you dealing with these chemicals? No, because there is a little bit inside. Does that mean when I drink it, am I going to be safe? No, you are going to die. But It is about the common sense to know how to handle these products. And they literally gave me a briefing about this. So I had to sit in the office with the guy that makes the SDSs. And he says, Reggie, I can show you stuff. And he showed me a couple of SDSs from other brands around the world where they made the SDSs in a certain country so they can hide from the legislation so they don't have to do it here. If they did it here in Europe, they will not be able to sell. But because they made the SDS in a different country, more to that side of the country or that side, depending on where you are. But they made the SDS in that country, and that became the leading SDS for the rest of the countries. If there's one thing my boss gets pissed off about, is that the checking and legislation and regulation about the chemicals is like a joke. It's literally a joke. If everybody was following the same rules, we would be in a very different situation. Trust me, there will be no more PFAS. Nobody would ever allow PFAS to be used anymore. You would see concentration of certain chemicals drop down to a certain level. The explanation about personal protection, PPM? Is it PPA?
PPE.
PPE, personal protection equipment. Yeah, that's the one. PPM is parts per million, of course. But all these things, that is what Labocosmetica has to do. We are front row with the legislation and everything on point, and anything that needs to be inside of that product needs to be in the SDS because we are REACH and CLP.
We have a few more questions if you can hang with me.
Don't worry.
All right. When is V2 of HydroSave coming?
I'm never going to say anything about product release ever again. I know there's something. And I told you about product development. We have something. Now we have to see if something can do something. So there is something coming, yes, but no idea about release.
What are the various dilutions and various uses for Primus 2.0?
Okay, wheels 1 to 5, highest concentration ever for Primus 2.0. For the bodywork, the strongest concentration that you would use in a sprayer or in a hand foamer is 1 to 10, and the lowest is 1 to 80. So sprayer, let me see, wheels 1 to 5, bodywork, everything else, strongest 1 to 10 spray or 1 to 80 spray, and then foam gun max 1 to 10.
Which by the time it comes out, it'll be like 1 to 100, you said at least.
You can, there's a very simple way to calculate this, but it costs a little bit of time and it changes, but it's a very simple way to see how much products are literally running through your hose and landing on your car. That's when I figured this out, was the first time I said, hey, I'm never going to do 1 to 5 in the foam gun anymore. I'm just going to use a pre-spray that before, and I will hit it with the double hit and then the double tap and then hit it with another hit of Primus with the 1 to 10 in the foam gun. And then I have double action, double dwelling, double cleaning, and I can do everything. I can do 92 mils. It's like 3. I can wash. I can do pre-spray, pre-wash, bucket wash with 3 ounces of Primus 2.0 for 1 car. So I make 1 bottle of 32 ounces, and I use that entire bottle to do pre-spray, foam, and bucket wash. I'm Dutch guy. It's in my DNA to save money. I can do this.
I'm married to a Pennsylvania Dutch guy, so I totally get that.
So Skybox for
Oh, I know.
Yes.
He's not going to Starbucks. He's going to the Sunoco to get a $1
Yes!
coffee. In fact, he's gonna make his coffee at home instead of
Exactly.
He calls Starbucks $5. Like
yeah, exactly. He knows.
All right. So what does he think the issue is that people have in the UK and Europe with creating foam with US products that appear to foam perfectly here in the rest of the world? And I think they're probably specifically talking about John from Forensic Detailing. He tried to use like Pan the Organizer soap, couldn't get it to foam. He tried to use Incredible Suds, couldn't get it to foam.
I will give an example that happened to me. Andreas railed me about the label issue on one of the products of Labocosmetica, and he was making a video about it. And then he said, this is what my experience was. And then I said, okay, I have to try this for myself. So water hardness has influence for dilutions. So with Neva, so Andreas was using Neva, neutral snow foam LABO, and he had to use a little bit more chemistry, a little bit more product to generate the same amount of foam that I did. And it simply has to do with the hardness of the water. Now, the Neva has a specification that it says that it even performs well in hard water. It does not say on the bottle that you have to add a little bit more chemistry. So the formulation of the water, the hardness, is also responsible for the amount of dilution you need to create the same amount of foam. Now, I'm not going to say that I saw everything that I need to be seeing, but I know that there is a slight difference in performance when you have harder water. You have to add 1 or 2 caps extra, but it should not be such a big of a difference. And if it is in case about the person that is actually making the stuff, making the foam better than the person that is testing the stuff, of 90% of the time, you will see that somebody that is making the stuff have a good performance, and that somebody is testing the stuff has a bad performance. Because we're making. Have you ever seen me make a bad video about a Primus? Never, because I will always only show success stories. I will not go, hey, listen, I have no idea why this happened, but Primus is not foaming. It's not, my boss is not going to say that's a good thing. If I find out why and I give you the solution, it becomes a different issue.
Yeah.
But yes, water hardness has a big influence about the foaming and performing of products.
Is Maniac wheel cleaner better sprayed or foamed?
You can try. Okay, David, I will shoot this question back to you, because this is maybe something that we can discuss. Maybe you can write this to me if you test this. If you do wheel foam in the IK, I see that on tires it sticks like crazy, and on the rim itself the foam drops off really fast. And I see with the spray that it sticks to the rim a lot better. So I would use tire wall foam and spray for the rim itself.
So for those of you that maybe you thought this was just a Labocosmetica podcast, we're not going to talk about all of these. That can maybe be another podcast episode. But this is another brand that Mafra makes. Would you say that this is more like the enthusiast line?
Yeah.
And Labocosmetica is designed to be more for like the professional detailer or like the hardcore enthusiast.
Yeah, let us say that the vision for Labocosmetica is truly the professional, and that's why we make things that save you chemicals and that sell you more chemicals. And this is the Maniac is in between Mafra and LABO, so it takes best of both worlds. So it takes the greatest things from Mafra and the greatest things from LABO to make it a more user-friendly experience about chemicals used for the car wash. Hey, you can immediately see from the bottles, you can read the labels, you know what the product is going to do. Still, in my opinion, too many dilutable products. I rather see a sprayer on top of everything, except for the products that you literally always have to dilute, like a pre-wash or a bucket wash. That those products will always need dilution. But for the rest, just put a sprayer on everything to make it ready to use, because I see it, people like it. They don't want hassle. They want to pull the bottle out of the bucket or the bag and then spray it, rinse it, buff it, wipe it, love it, and then go home.
Okay. All right. We have 2 more questions and then we can let this man go. All right. I started them. Why isn't HPC Pro accessible coating when it's just 1 more year durability and easy to use, exactly like HPC 2.0?
Oh, it's not so much. This is also about the professional. So we could say, let's make this a monetary operation and sell HPC Pro to everybody. But we said no, because HPC Pro is for the professional. So with HPC Pro, we gave the opportunity. This is actually the first time we did it. Normally, you do accreditation training. It's not so much the training to how to put on a ceramic coating. It's more about what you do when it goes wrong. That's why I focus on the ceramic coating training. And for HPC Pro, we said, okay, listen, if you have a business, if you can prove you have a business, a registered business or side business or whatever, you can use HPC Pro. But HPC Pro is just another edge. If the consumer has HPC Pro, what benefit is it then for the pro to have pro coating if he can just get the consumer to do it himself? This is the separation. It's the same with Blindo and SCC. Never going to be for consumers because it's an edge. It is something special for the professional. If it was up to us, and then we would say, okay, we make 100 milliliter bottles of HPC 2.0, and we say you only apply with microfiber applicator, and the same with HPC Pro. But we try to teach the most effective thing, how to get the most out of the bottle, because this is also very funny. Because I'm never going to touch the subject ever again, but I can tell you stuff that is going to rattle the entire ceramic coating industry at its base. If you think about it, I ask 3 questions and I make the entire industry rattle.
Are you going to ask those 3 questions?
No, I'm going to save them for a different time. I'm going to talk.
He's like, I'm tired. I'm going.
I'm going to talk to you about.
Wait to hour 2 to break out the juice.
You and me are going to talk about this off camera, and then I will tell you a little bit, and then you will start to realize some things, and that's going to set some things in motion, and you're going to think, wait a second, he's onto something. But we will talk about that later.
I would love that. I love being challenged. All right. Last question. Is Preludio acidic and alkaline formulated so it doesn't need to be rinsed off?
Exactly. The difference between Preludio and the Primus and Purifica, so to speak, is that a pre-soak needs to be able to be wiped off, and a pre-wash, as the word said, needs to be rinsed off.
Okay.
It's the biggest difference. Rinsed off surfactants and wipeable surfactants. That's the biggest difference. And yes,
So you do your rinseless wash, which I use those this winter. Fantastic products. Do your rinseless wash normal. You don't really have to follow up and wash it off afterwards.
no, you can
It
just
will,
wipe them off. You can do your normal rinseless wash. Everything is gone. They need to be wipeable even without a rinseless. So if I spray Preludio and I wipe the Preludio, I am generated most of the surfactants are already gone. While with a pre-wash, you really have to rinse a lot to get the surfactants off.
Well, we've hit you guys with a ton of information over the last 2 hours. I know your brain is probably exhausted. Mine is definitely. I am
I cannot
more
believe it's 2 hours.
I am more excited to try Labocosmetica products. I think they're the ones I've been buying most heavily. If you guys were to go out to my garage, you would see like half of my shelf on the wall is just becoming Labocosmetica products. Everything that I have tried from you guys is fantastic. I hate being the person to say this, but for any of you guys that want to try Labocosmetica products, head on over to thehouseofrags.com. You can use coupon code A2D10 and save 10% off. Hopefully, you guys have gained some insight on what products to consider, how to get the most uses out of them. That's what this episode was all about. Reggie, thank you so much for sharing your expertise, your knowledge, and your time with us. It was a pleasure just to get to see your face. I know we've been chatting, via messaging the last couple weeks, but just thank you so much for your time and just sharing all of your knowledge with us. So
Most welcome. My pleasure. It was an honor to be here. I enjoyed myself very much. It was a very fast conversation of 2 hours. And well, we will keep chatting behind the scenes, and I will generate some of because I'm really looking forward to see the rest of that 37 ceramic coating test going on into your car. It's going to save me a lot of time, especially when I can give you some pointers to see where it's going to fail first. And we probably see that back in the video, and I can take some research from your entrepreneurship and those ceramic coating testing.
Well, we're probably going to be adding HPC 2.0 to it. Like as
Oh,
coatings
great, great,
fail,
great.
we're going to be adding new ones to it. So that's definitely one that I want to test out. So we'll be doing updates and real world tests for you guys in Pennsylvania. So
Yeah, good region, by the way. Very good region. Yes.
sure, not right
Yes.
now. The pollen is absolutely awful. I don't know if you guys can like see how bloodshot my eyes are.
Is it from the allergy? And you
Oh
have
my
pollen
gosh, my
allergy?
eyes are on fire right now.
But you don't
So
have the nose thing. You have nothing in
no,
here. It's just in the ear.
no, my husband actually just went to the doctor because he's sick from the allergies. I take like heavy doses of probiotics, so I think that it's been able to help me a little bit. But yeah, I'm ready for pollen to be done. I just washed my car today and it's already yellow. So
It's downside. It's like the never-ending story.
yeah, but thank you guys. Next week, we're going to have Detail Addicts come on. We're going to be talking about some of their innovative polishes, some of the tools and machinery that they've come up with. They're a smaller 2-guy band that honestly, they're just coming up with some really cool stuff. So if you guys want to know more about Detail Addicts, they have a battery-powered ozone generator that honestly, I think can be a little bit of a game changer when it comes to ozone generators. You can get a high-intensity treatment with like 30 to 45 minutes versus like 1 to 2 hours.
Oh.
So stay tuned. But Reggie, awesome podcast. Thank you guys. We will see you next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over at the House of Rags. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, give us a thumbs up. But we'll see you guys next week. Have a great night. Please thank your Oma.